The Butt Kicker Gamer 2. What you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Ever witnessed someone so fast on track you doubt you could ever be on their level? The mission of Advanced Motorsports is to demonstrate the speed is achievable for everyone. With the expertise of some of the best sim drivers in North America, we are set to release free content on social media and comprehensive guides on our website. For those seeking the ultimate experience, our Advanced Motorsport Institute and personalized coaching sessions are the way to go. No matter your level of experience, we invite you to follow us on our social media to learn to be fast.
Hello everybody and welcome to Daytona for round 7 of the PRL Cup Series here in Season 1 of 2024. No rain here in iRacing just yet. It's the sunset of Daytona instead and very nice looking skies indeed. Just 3 rounds to go of this season. And for once, we're not starting a season here, but we're close to ending it. My name is Jonah Leary alongside Derek Watson here for the evening. And we're glad to be back again with the Cup Series here, Derek. Just 3 rounds to go of this season. And as it says there, you've already had plenty of experience around here this week. It's a big week in our racing at Daytona. And we've got yet another race in NASCAR Cup Series action here at Daytona. 90 laps for the drivers ahead.
90 laps of high-speed decision-making and a little bit of gamesmanship already up ahead of us. It's been a great night here. I love Daytona. This has been a great schedule. This schedule has been amazing. Now we're up into what I call the realistic NASCAR portion of the schedule. Look at it here. It's been a lot of fun. We've had our fantasy portion. We were at Long Beach last week. Arjuna and Lorenzo led you guys through that. Iowa the week before, Auto Club. But now it's Daytona, Atlanta, and Vegas. 3 tracks that all on their own way, Ewan, sort of drive a little bit like draft packages or super speedways.
Yeah, in some ways, very high-speed circuits remaining here, and certainly the oval part for the rest of the season. We haven't seen many road courses, of course, as you've just seen on that schedule, which still allowed Trent Dinkle to lead the standings. Abner Acosta only 7 points behind, with Joshua Daniels next. He's only a point ahead of Bruno Mello and James O'Brien. Jose Acosta is in 6th position, ahead of Pat Harvey by a couple of points. Another couple of points back to Chris Hudson, and then another couple to Lou Christian, and then Brandon Vetterplace is in the 10th position, a few points further back than that. I mean, it's fair to say it's becoming a two-horse race in the Drivers' Championship, and both of those drivers, of course, part of private label Team Hype. They are at the front of the team standings and nearly have that wrapped up now, ahead of Love Racing, who have a job on their hands to stay ahead of Pioneer Racing. Bowie Esports are in 4th, ahead of Final Lap Racing Team. Pioneer Lady JV Team are in 6th position, not far behind. SSR Elite there as well in 7th. Race Indigo in 8th place, ahead of 5150 Racing Team. And then it's the other private label Team Hype team down in 10th position. That brings us out to Daytona again. Fair to say it's becoming a two-horse race in the standings here, Derek.
Yeah, I mean, it is right now, of course, between Abner Acosta and Trenton Dinkle, but who knows? Drop weeks are still in play. It's Daytona. Anything could happen. This is sort of that wild card we all love. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here, but I'm excited to get it going here, and hopefully we're just about ready to start qualifying.
We will in just a few moments' time, but first we'll have a look at the sponsors who make these broadcasts possible, of course. And starting off with Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminium profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. This broadcast also brought to you by Racebox. Racebox offers mid to high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, our button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and get a 5% discount on all products using the Precision 5 coupon code. Broadcast also brought to you by the Bookkicker. Bookkicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Moradness is a lifestyle performance brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit moradness.com. Broadcast also brought to you by Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. And finally, Advanced Motorsports. Get ready to learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. A big thanks to all of those guys who make this broadcast possible and make broadcasting the PRL every night here on RaceSpotTV a possibility as well. We are in qualifying right now, 2 minutes to go. Abner Acosta currently at the top of the standings, but there's still plenty more drivers yet to make their way around for their lap times. Noticeably, I think here, Derek, Trent Dinkle, having only completed one of his 2 lap times, he's down in 16th, 17th now. You'd expect him to jump up through the field in the next couple of moments.
Yeah, we should expect to see that from Trent. We're out to Mackenzie Ruin right here, native of Ohio, going to make a run through here, down through the trioval. This looks to be the first lap here due to how high they're riding. You're going to get back up there again, and now they'll come down to the corners, and this is the second lap. It does appear to be in that second lap. You want to get down on that yellow line, Ewan, because as science teaches us, the shortest way around is always the fastest way around. So you drift back out. This way you can pick up all that speed. In fact, you probably should have drifted out higher with all due respect. The further you drift out, the more speed you pick up. See the back straight. Down to the 3 and 4. Luis Rodriguez, by the way, just set the pole. You see that on top of the screen. Watch how smoothly, though, Ewan, he's holding that line. That's a great key to qualifying here at Daytona.
It is a little bit more complex than just plant the right foot and go. You do have to be careful. Out on the apron there, over the line for Rune there, and he will go down to 20th. So we did see him coming out the pit lane as well, so I would argue that was maybe his first lap, and he's got another one here, but there's not that much time remaining. Bruno Mello might just about have enough time to complete his lap here. He's down in 19th at the moment. One of the final drivers to have actually finished a lap time and actually set a time here. The entire field covered by 0.4 of a second. But realistically, we're not expecting this qualifying session to really shape the race overly.
No, that's the beauty of Daytona, right? Is it just you move up and down so quickly through the order that where you start and where you finish are often very drastically different. And Bruno just got in there, and he just crossed that line before qualifying ended.
He did just get in there, and we'll see where he qualified with this look at the starting grid ahead of round 7 of the PRL Cup Series. It's Luis Rodriguez who's taken the pole ahead of Abner Acosta, and the gap that he has, 0.25 of a second, quite large indeed as well for Rodriguez. Chandler and O'Brien will be on row 2, with Joshua Daniels and Waldo Walden sharing the 3rd row on the grid. In 7th position, it's going to be Lou Christian in the 21 car, Chad Kibbe alongside with Jose Acosta. 9th position, Trent Dinkle just sneaking into the top 10, half a tenth back from pole. It's Park Hilliard who is 11th, that of Scotty Johnson of the SGE Esports team. Vincenzo Sepulveda is 13th, that of Jose Medina. Pat Harvey and Eric Oliver will be in the 8th row together, with Brandon Walter and Brandon Fetterplace rounding out row 9. These are some of the final drivers who actually set times, like Sir Bruno Mello and Mackenzie Roon, who was doing an F3 race, by the way, about 3 hours ago, because I was commentating on it. Ben Laughter is in 21st, ahead of those who didn't qualify. Chris Vincent, Brian Dixon, Tommy Brandon, and Devon Mains, all in the session, and we hope we'll get off to the start as well here from the starting grid, but they did not qualify for one reason or another. So that is your grid. Just over or under 75 minutes predicted in terms of the completion of these 90 laps, but will we get all of those 90 laps in? That's one of the big questions ahead of tonight's race.
It is. In fact, you and I and others were sort of talking about that before the race started. What's our prediction, and will it stay green? Will it not stay green? And that's the question in every driver's head right now, because you race differently depending upon that question. If you think this is a race that will have a few yellows, and you can be able to sit in the back, you can maybe ride just behind the draft and sort of let a couple wrecks happen, and then you start to move forward. You start to kind of eat your way into the top 10, and you go for it. If you are thinking, hey, this race is going to go green for a long time, falling off the draft is the most dangerous thing you can do, because you'll never get caught back up. So it's a little bit of mental guessing involved in the strategy here.
But sometimes it's not the worst thing in the world. I remember a PRL Cup Series race here, I think it must have been in last summer, because it was around Daytona time again, obviously, but it wasn't February. And I remember the private label team Hype guys getting clear of the rest of the field, getting single file between themselves, and just riding around completely on their own. They pitted early after about 10 laps or so, and they just rode around on their own. And they had quicker pace than everybody else, and they managed to win that race, a race that had no cautions. I mean, it would be a bit of a stretch to say that that's going to happen again here today, because people maybe expect that a little bit more, but I'm not so sure this is going to be so caution heavy as some people expect when you come plate racing to either of those venues.
Well, listen, the Grand Nationals and the Truck Leagues already put on great races at Daytona on Wednesday night with very few yellows, and statistically it does feel like that the Cup Series has less yellows on most weeks than those two. So I would not be surprised if we maybe have 1 or 0 yellows here. But man, it's about to get going here. And if you want to win here, it's a nice recipe. It's a mix of luck, a mix of strategy, a mix of skill, a mix of teamwork, and just that one little mystery component in that's hard to describe.
And that little bit of luck that you just need at Daytona. It's a Mustang and a Camaro on the front row, here to start off for 90 laps in the PRL Cup Series. The green flag is waving. We are green for the first time at Daytona, and we're underway for 90 laps of racing. Leaders absolutely locked together off of NASCAR turns 1 and 2. It's been a clean start from everybody. All 25 drivers getting underway nicely ahead of 90 laps, and already the pushing begins. Luis Rodriguez behind Abner Acosta in the 5, and it's actually James O'Brien, who's pushing Abner Acosta in the 5, and he's pushing him out to quite a lead at the end of lap 1.
Yeah, this is scary though, because what's going to happen is if they let that draft hold that far ahead of the lines would have got a humongous run and just sucked them in. So you saw they both moved up top and tried to kill that run. And the more impressive part is they both worked together and timed it perfectly to get up there. Now they're going to start to ride this area that I don't like, where they're going to go both up and down, I think. But maybe, oh, Abner's way high to that corner. Maybe they're not. Abner might be stuck at the top of the field now.
He might well be, but it's James O'Brien who's down low, and he's got no help now. He's got nobody with him, and there was a few bits of movement in the back row. We're already 3 wide. This is aggression turned up to the maximum for lap 2.
Yeah, this is everybody wanting to get the best spot they can get and really make some moves happen here, because you never know. 90 laps sounds like a lot, but it's really not in the grand terms of Daytona. That's 2 pit stops at most, and it'll go by quickly.
Isn't he fastest lap? Not much that you can do about that, or not that that has much relevance to us here today. It will be all about track position, who can push, who's got the run, all of those kind of things. And for now, it's been the high side that's had the run. Abner Acosta has been leading, but look at this from the bottom side. We do have a bit of a run coming here. James O'Brien very much involved in it as he pushes Trent Dinkle now to the front of the queue.
Trent now, remember, come up from 9th further than 9th, pardon me. As you said in the beginning, it's not where you qualify at Daytona. It's what kind of moves you can make and how you can get there. Let's watch a replay here and see what happens. There's a nice move to the bottom.
This is Park Hilliard, I think it's going to be, who's had to come into pit lane as a result of this in the 2 car. He was the one who got out the pack, and now why did... he just pulls out the way, so he actually wasn't forced there.
No, you know what? Park decided something looked a little weird to Park. Maybe it was just the people around him were, seesawing back and forth or something there. Look at on the bottom again. That's under the yellow line.
Wow.
We got forced down there or what happened, but that's a scary moment right there.
Trent Dinkle was going backwards here, by the way. It's the 87 who's gone below the line. Excuse me, probably 67, isn't it? Pat Harvey. There is no 87 in the field. Pat Harvey in the very fluorescent and nicely coloured blue, dropping to the very back of the field. I'm not sure whether he was pushed there either, to be honest. It looks like some people just don't want to be in this kind of queue.
Yeah, and there's a definite strategy behind that for some people, right? Who just want to get out of line. It doesn't look like the place you want to be. It just kind of feels kind of weird. And you decide, listen, this is too amped up for lap 5. I'm going to back up, and just don't back up too far where you lose the draft, and wait and see what happens.
Through 3 and 4, Abner Acosta still leading and being pushed very well so far by Luke Christian. It's certainly true that the top side has had the big advantage here early on in this race, and somewhat surprising given it seems slightly low on numbers compared to the low side.
Yeah, but the gaps between the cars isn't as big. That's the organizational thing that's going to kind of help them there. The bottom lane looks to be a bunch of drivers who are unsure. They're not ready to go. They just kind of want to hang out. Nice Sunday drive, if you will. The top lane is ready to move. Look at that bump at the top of your screen there. You see just how they're going. And that's Chad Kibbe pushing the guy in front of him, saying, let's go forward. And there it is again. There's someone pushing our race leader. That is the 5. That is your leader, Abner Acosta. A nice push. But here comes the bottom.
So now they are a little bit better organised, especially the front 3. The rest of them may be less interested, but the front 3 certainly are. We might be about to have a new leader at the end of lap 6. Brandon Fetterplace pushed to the front by Trent Dinkle, who's pushing him in some dangerous places through the tri-oval there, but they're getting away with it for now and they've got the lead.
Boy, and isn't that a hot button topic across iRacing? The idea of pushing for the tri-oval? There is a vast number of opinions if you ask every driver in this race about doing that kind of thing. Now here comes Dinkle now. He's going to leave at Fetterplace and move up top.
Finding his teammate, I suppose, in Abner Acosta.
But look at Fetterplace, picked up the draft instantly from Luis Rodriguez and getting pushed still. Now the problem they're going to have is that little bit of gap back there. I think it's the 31. That's Jeff Chandler. Jeff and Jose Acosta need to close up that gap to help the bottom lane keep moving.
Yeah, the bottom lane just it does have a few more gaps in it. And to be fair, it looks a bit more like an even fight, actually. It looks like a tug of war with maybe 12 on each side now, or 11 and 13 maybe. It's a little bit more even, but here's Jeff Chandler. For Jeff Chandler Racing, he's not that close to Rodriguez and doesn't seem to be particularly interested in getting that close. It's looking to the inside. He's barely covering the slipstream, and now they'll go backwards as a result, because look at everyone on the right-hand side, a lot closer together now. Finally, he gets in behind the Mustang in front, but it's almost too late. The outside have gone up the road, and part of this is finding teammates out there, isn't it? It's Trent Dinkle and Acosta actually are teammates. They've found it easier, but for some of these drivers who don't have so many teammates out there, it's about finding some out there at Daytona.
And right now, it's not only about finding them, but it's also about making them, right? Because we talk all the time about Daytona. When it comes to the end of this race, you're going to need a teammate. And it may not be your teammate. It may not be a private label team member. It may not be an SGE esports member. It may be whoever you've decided in this race that benefits you, whether they're a good pusher, maybe they are good at getting pushes, maybe they're okay getting pushed in a corner. It's how you two mesh together. Look at that bump in the back there. And so every decision you make in this race, for example, as a moment here, Dinkle dumping Fetter Place to head up top, that may make a decision later in what Fetter Place wants to do if it comes down to him helping Trent Dinkle.
Well, that was a close moment through 7th place there on the backstretch. Some real nervy moments, and everyone did very well to hold on. Still 24 in the lead draft, by the way. We saw earlier on Park Hilliard drop down to pit lane, and he's not re-emerged from that, unfortunately. So he looks to be out of the running for today's race in the PRL Cup Series. Now a bit of movement from the low side. The leaders seem to have taken on that position and tried to defend from the front there, but it's not really worked. And here goes the outside line. Trent Dinkle leading the line by the looks of it. And so the teammates have been split up. Abner Acosta's going backwards.
Yeah, he is going backwards. And what I'm really impressed by so far, Ewan, is how well Fetter Place is keeping that bottom lane together. For that big gap you see in that bottom lane, you'd think they'd be having a bigger problem than what they are staying with the leaders. But look at them here. They keep making charges and getting up there. And Fetter Place having a great night, by the way. It's already got a lap led. Currently, I believe, holds the fastest lap the last we looked. They're doing a great job there. And having, now we're going to look at Jose Acosta here. This is Abner Acosta's brother, of course. That's not Jose. That's Luke Christian, I believe.
I was going to say, yeah.
That's the most dangerous step. And you know what? Actually, Ewan, each week he's been moving that camera around. That is a new perspective on that step.
Yeah, the man with the smallest staircase in the world, Luke Christian. I do love the fact that, there's probably a good reason for the handrail there, but it, does make me giggle.
I feel like,
anyway,
as much as we talk about it in PRL, I think that staircase needs its own Instagram or something,
Yeah, it's becoming iconic in the PRL Cup Series and elsewhere as well. That was Luke Christian currently running in second position. And to the outsider, to those that don't know about overracing, for those that don't know about Daytona, this part of the race looks almost easy, doesn't it, if you're in Luke Christian's position? You're just behind Dinkle, you're just pushing him, you're getting pushed, but it's all okay. There's a lot more going on than that, though.
There's a lot going on other than that, right? There's the pushing, there's the communication, here's the hardest part, and it sounds so simple, holding a straight line, because if you get bumped while you're moving back and forth or they're moving back and forth, it gets crazy how much that can hurt a car. It can spin it around, it can, really just affect that car massively. So look at that, this little bit of snake line happening at the top of the shot here. That's how hard it is to hold a line here at Daytona. There's a lot going on in this moment, a lot of decision making, maybe even some lifting of the throttle. I bet if we listen to that car 6th or 7th in line, Ewan, I bet they're not 100% on the throttle the whole lap through.
No, they're certainly not. They're probably less on, how would you say, probably more not on full throttle than they are actually on full throttle. If you're leading the line like here for Brandon Walter, then you probably are smashing the throttle right now. But it's not really under your control as to whether you're in the lead or not. Luke Christian clearly pushing a little bit better than what Brandon Walter is receiving. There are the conditions. This race being run as if it was on Saturday afternoon at about 2:30 in the afternoon. 88 Fahrenheit is not overly bad temperatures, but how much can warm temperatures around here at Daytona actually affect things when tyre wear is not prospected to be an actual real big factor?
Oh, it can still matter a lot. You still need to make some sudden lane changes around here. You still need to be able to make things happen, even as bumps you get from the cars behind you. If this track is slick, if it's probably plus 100 Fahrenheit, it's a little harder to hold those lines around there. And yeah, tire wear may not mean a lot here, but at the end of a run, you can still tell the difference between a cold track and a hot track and just how your car wants to behave. It's not impossible to get loose at Daytona. I know that the theory is it's a super speedway, there's all the grip all the time, but you can get loose here. So this 88-degree track will not provide any of that. And we're watching on board with Bruno Mello here. And that beautiful sim room he's got set up there. At least that Ricky's got set up there. Nice big wide monitors. And right now, there's still a 2x2 all the way back here as it feels.
There he is up high in the 78 car. Right up next to the wall at the moment. And to your point earlier, probably not actually on full throttle very often. Probably lifting off and saving quite a bit of fuel. And speaking of a fuel stint, we're probably coming up to halfway now.
Yeah, that's a discussion we were having, pre-race about what we thought could happen here. My experience tells me that just about that 40 lap mark is a full tank of gas. Now, if you're someone who is, let's say, 5th or 6th in line like Jose Acosta on the bottom lane, if you're lifting off the throttle on these draft lines, you can maybe squeeze 1 or 2 more laps out of that. And that could make a difference, because what we think is going to happen. We think we're going to get our first pit stops around lap 40 under green. We'll need to do another pit stop again, whether it be at the end of lap 80 when you're out or earlier, and that'll be a splash and go. So every for every gallon of gas you can save, is a less time on pit road the second time around.
And there's a lot of danger as well when you are Trent Dinkel and you're leading for so long here that you burn so much fuel compared to everybody else that you end up having to come in onto pit lane. And of course, if you're coming on pit lane and nobody else needs to, you're going to be on your own, and that's a big problem.
Yeah, there's that negotiation that happens now in a league like PRL, where there's teams like private label Team Hype. You're probably a little easier off than you are in some of the official races, because you have those kind of built-in teammates happen. Look at that push by Better Place on the bottom. He has decided that Brandon Walter's going to go places, and he's going to make it happen.
He's going to try to. It's going to be end of 17 as we go on board with Brandon Better Place. Let's just have a little listen in here to the 34 car and just hear what it's like to come around here and see what it's like to push someone around Daytona International Speedway. Oh, and here he goes. We'll interrupt listening in because he's completely dumped Brandon Walter to the middle line.
Well, it looked like is that Walter maybe just drifted too high out of a corner, and that is something that happens here, where you drift too high out of a corner and the natural momentum of the draft just carries everyone right on by you. You have to stick to that yellow line on the bottom, where you run the risk of that happening right there. But I mean, Walter quickly got to the back. Maybe he decided he doesn't like being pushed. I noticed as we started to kind of listen in there, if you noticed or not, he got a nasty bump coming into the corner from Fetter Place. And now that's a pretty hot button topic about do you push into corners or not. I'll tell you right now, I am team no thank you when it comes to that. I do not want push into corners. I don't trust the strategy of it. I think it's too risky. But some drivers are all about it.
They certainly are. And I wonder as well whether there's going to be a bit of memory there between Fetter Place and also who did he leave to the inside there? Brandon Walter it was. Who ended up going backwards. Wonder whether there'll be a bit of memory there, and just wondering whether he'll just think about that for a little bit later on. Well, the insider finally got their act together now. Better Place being pushed on this occasion rather than being the pusher has worked a lot better here, and Abner Acosta, from being outside the top 10 a few laps ago, is working his way back to the front.
And that's great news for Abner, and the reason for that simply is that now Abner knows what he can and can't do with that vehicle. So now, if we come down to 10 to go, and Abner finds himself in a spot maybe in 12th or 14th place, somewhere in that area, he knows he can still push that car forward. Some drivers will lay back in this opening run and let their car fall back to 10th, 11th, or even 15th place, because they want to see how easy it is to carve back through the field, sort of doing your own science experiment before you take it to school.
So 20 laps now completed. Another couple of looks down below the white line. Of course, no overtakes allowed down there, but we might well see that portion of the racetrack used if we're avoiding crashes. And so on. Out of turn 2. there are the two lines. Just a little bit of wiggling around. And you mentioned it earlier on. Everyone listening to this will be thinking, well, I can hold a straight line, that's fine. But the fine margins around here, really just test whether you can hold a straight line or not. And as you said earlier, it is harder than it sounds.
There's a lot in play, right? There's the groove of the bumps and the grooves in the racetrack. They're not as smooth as they look. It is a bumpy track. There's the force feedback in your wheel, kind of throwing things around. There's a lot going on, and especially if you're watching the car in front of you. Here's the correct and incorrect thing to do. If you are behind someone, especially in the inside lane, you should be drafting based upon that yellow line. What you should not be doing is drafting based upon the car in front of you, because then it sort of creates this awful serpentine of everyone moving up and down. And it's sort of like you're on a pirate boat. It just kind of never stops wagging back and forth, and that'll kill your draft. You always want to be looking at the yellow line and let the guy in front of you figure it out.
Well, so far, everyone's got this race figured out pretty well. No cautions, green flag here at Daytona. With 22 laps complete of the 90, and hopefully we'll get them all in. There is an hour and a half limit on this race, by the way, a 90-minute limit on the race. This allows for about 17 minutes worth, 15 to 17 sort of minutes worth of cautions across the race, or time lost anyway in cautions. Not sure how many that equates to, but we do have time for a few before laps start getting cut off our race here this evening. But so far, none will be going the whole 90 by the looks of things, and we're rapidly getting towards firstly 1/4 distance, which we've already passed through now, but rapidly getting towards 1/3, and we're running nicely clean and green for now.
Doing a great job. And by the way, you said people think they can do this, but you know what? If you do think you can do this, registration is now open for everybody for PRL Season 2 for all the leagues. The Cup Series, the Grand Nationals, the Trucks, Formula D. There's a brand new Super Formula League announced for next season. So if you think you can do this and you want to try it out, registration is now open. Head over to the PRL website and you can sign up. And you can be on the broadcast in just a few weeks when Season 2 begins.
Absolutely, your chance to be on a broadcast, your chance to race in the PRL. Make sure you try and get a place. It's a fantastic place to be, as I've learned from my personal experience. I can't remember how many races I did. I was terrible, but that's fine. Fun is the aim of the game, after all. It is for me, anyway.
Well, I'll tell you what, I love the oval stuff. Everyone knows that, but this new Super Formula League on Thursday nights, I'm excited to see how that runs. It's a brand new welcome addition to PRL. They're going to sunset the Formula C series. They're going to keep the Formula Ds and then move into the Super Formulas. And I can't promise anything, Ewan, but the admins did talk about they're looking at how to add rain into PRL next season once it comes out in iRacing. So lots of fun to be had in Season 2.
I guess it will be possible, and we'll see what happens. Out through the end of another lap 25 now complete. We're hearing that Park Hilliard and his engine has blown in the pit lane, unfortunately. I don't think there was much hope of him getting back into the race anyway, but he is definitely out now because he left it running and left it overheating while he was down on pit lane, and that engine has expired, and that is that for him today. So we've still got 24 in the race, and there is Trent Tinkle still leading the way, and that shows you how casual he is. Not that it's easy right now, just that it's pretty casual.
Pretty casual for him. It's hard to find Trent without a casual look on his face in that very common outfit with the hat and the private label shirt. But that's a different, you know what? It's a different color hue for Trent, I feel like. That's a darker blue than we're used to Room to being. So maybe Trent's trying some new things here, but doing a great job in the race, been leading us around for a few laps. Trent is trying to lock up another point here by leading the most laps.
Yes, he's done that on quite a few occasions recently, actually, in this series. And also, by the way, you can see him chatting there. We believe that he's being spotted by Richard Reagan here this evening. So that will be who he's chatting to. You would imagine there is a lot of chat going on at the moment, not because he's particularly in a fierce battle with anybody, but just because, well, I guess they need something to do. They're chatting about whatever it will be.
And the truth about Daytona is there's always more info to have, whether it be what line is coming, what line isn't working, when we're thinking about coming in, you know, what moves to make. Do I move down? Do I not move down? You saw what happened here. There's always some kind of plotting, strategizing to do here. So there's never a dull moment if you're on a team here at Daytona. And listen, if I had to pick a spotter for myself, Richard Regan had a great night during the Grand National Series, and Richard's a very talented driver. That's top tier talent that Dinkel's recruited for himself.
Yep. Unfortunately, though, he is not in the lead any longer. Luke Christian briefly there getting to the front, and now Dinkel drops to the low side actually. So Christian has gone from pushing Dinkel to now racing him on the high side. I wonder whether maybe the low line can take some laps leading. We're 3 wide just in the mid pack there as well. Just feel like the intensity just being ramped up slightly as we approach 30 laps now.
Yeah, it's like maybe some drivers starting to kind of get in line with each other. I don't know if it be by teammate or just where they're, you know, where they want to be, but we're about 10 laps ish away from your first round of pit stops, and now you got to start to figure out who you want to pit with and when you're going to make that happen. There'll be a lot of conversations about lap numbers and secret cryptic ways to communicate that for some people, and some people just very blatantly talk about it. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. Man, look at this gap here the top lane has formed. Luke Christian, Waldo Walden, Chad Kibbe, 1, 2, and 3. I'm surprised they're that far out there, and I look at they're starting to ride that middle. They're going to come back up here. I was sort of saying, I'm surprised. There it is. Surprised they're not coming down. That's how you get pit stops made.
And that is going to send someone straight through the middle there. And that is Trent Dinkel, isn't it, who was stuck there, and they were all trying to get in line, and someone got pushed below the apron in the end. Now there's supreme pushing from Waldo Walden to Luke Christian, who is leading the race here at Daytona, but they're single file at the front as a result of all of that at the on the way out of the triangle. That was very close to an accident.
Yeah, that's probably the closest we've seen tonight so far to an accident. But now you start to line up. Now you're having conversations about, hey, what lap are you coming in on? Or even here's better yet, where did you qualify? Where is your pit stall? In my experience, I don't want to pit with someone who pits right in front or behind me. I want to sort of have that area to myself to get my in and out of my pit stall. So there's a lot of discussions being had here. We'll see how it comes around. And Pat Harvey swung it out there a little bit. That's that bright green car there on the outside lane.
That camera doesn't quite show it, but we've got a group getting detached off the back if they're not careful. There they are, just at the very back of the field. And unfortunately, they may well be detached very shortly. It's Chris Vincent, Bruno Mello, Tommy Brandon, Devon Mains and Brian Dixon, who've actually spent most of the race towards the back. And it looks like they'll be okay, actually. They're getting back on terms again, but what a moment a couple of laps ago. We believe that it was the 51 of Mackenzie Roon getting into James O'Brien in the 33 that caused all the kerfuffle. And it was just people trying to come up from high down to the low ton. You've got to make sure, you've got to make absolutely sure when you're doing that you are clear. And we were very close to having a big accident there, unfortunately.
And sometimes what's the cause of that is you'll get a call saying you are clear. And that's what your spotter will tell you, whether it be a real life spotter or the iRacing spotter. But and when you get that call here at Daytona, you have to make that snap move. You have to snap it over a lane. You can't merge it over like you're on the highway in your personal car. If you do that, that's what leads to some confusion about clear or not clear. And as that lane started to slowly drift down, that's naturally what's going to happen, where someone's not going to be clear in the process.
Yeah, unfortunately. The high side seems to have really lost numbers here. Only 6 of them now up there, and the inside line has 18 now, although we've got some takers. Have we? People thinking about going up and maybe joining in. Not quite for the moment. I think people are thinking a little bit about the pit stops here. We can't be that far away. You don't want to be stuck up right to the high side. It's stuck away from pit lane.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to get down to pit road if you're stuck up on the high side. So you want to find a way in and really to start to manage that. Now what will happen is as the first group goes down pit road, wherever that may be, it'll open some gaps in that bottom lane, and you sort of work yourself in there, assuming you can wait. You go another lap or two to find yourself a spot in line here. But you see Jose Acosta's up there, that's Pat Harvey up there, a few others. So they're going to write it out and see here. Now, what will help them a little bit, as some of these cars in the bottom kind of drift up out of the corners, they'll drift up just a little and provide some draft to the guys up front. Only a little bit, but man, at Daytona, only a little bit of draft is all you may need sometimes.
Maybe. Luke Christian continues to lead at Daytona. 34 laps now complete now in this race. More than a third of the race down here in round 7 of the PRL Cup Series. And it's been clean and green so far. No cautions just yet. It's been good racing, clean racing. And we look like we might be about to have some green flag pit stops as well. As I said at the start of the day, sometimes Daytona has a lot less cautions than people are expecting.
Yeah, sometimes a lot less, right? So now we come to maybe the most under talked about, or less talked about, maybe the better way of saying that, skill in all of iRacing and all of Daytona, green flag pit stops. It is not as easy as it looks. You're going to get up from probably 180, 190, 190 miles an hour down to 60 on that pit lane entrance. You're going to try to hold onto the car, not loop it around, not hit someone, find your pit box, not speed. It's a lot of work, and not a lot of people practice it because the assumption is, I can just do it under yellow.
And I think there's a little bit of a stereotype with the next-gen cars that they're a little bit more like sort of road-going cars, and they're not like stock cars anymore, because they've changed drastically in the last 20 years. That's certainly true, but it doesn't mean they've got fantastic brakes anymore. It doesn't mean that they handle absolutely beautifully anymore. It's a little bit better, of course, than it was maybe 20 years ago, as I say, but it's not absolutely perfect. And already we've got Abner Acosta in.
Yeah, there was a great shot from Abner Acosta, sort of by accident. You saw him having to get the car woed down pretty early to make sure he sticks to that 60 mile an hour speed limit here on pit road. So you'll see some cars come down. There's Abner again. This is your first group on lap 37. And so that tells me that these guys are going to be at least 10 laps short for that second stop.
Yeah, they're not going to make it on one stop, are they? They are going to be pitting again. So how long do these guys further up front wait here? How much longer are they going to wait? Out first of all goes Brandon Fetterplace, who's first. Then it will be Abner Acosta. Excuse me, that was Abner Acosta going out first. Brandon Fetterplace has just driven straight through. Then it's James O'Brien. Brandon Walter is there as well. Scotty Johnson and Trent Dinkle, they're all just about there. And there's a group detached off the back as well here, by the way, of the group. So it's all happening out there. But interestingly, none of the other 18 cars in that leading pack came in that time.
Not that time, no. So some people obviously probably have been lifting and trying to see what they can make happen in this moment here. Luke Christian still leading wall in second, Chad Kibbe in third. Part of the love people have of this type of racing is that we're seeing new names up front that, with all respect, we don't see a lot. Here they come. Here's Christian, everybody now coming down. There's Jose Acosta sitting out, though. So here's a third pack.
Oh, big lock up and in for Luke Christian. So just about got that slowed up in time, but a big lock up on the way in for the 21 car. So 4 stay out. Jose Acosta. Oh, and contact up pit lane. Waldo, excuse me, it's the one car. It's the one car of Chris Vincent. Tommy Brandon was the one who got into him, we're hearing. So the one car into contact. And this is why you come on pit lane with a smaller group, because there's 14 and Vincent just goes straight through. He's missed his box, so he's got to go straight through there in the one car. And so he's driven straight through pit lane. We saw Brandon Fetterplace do this earlier on as well, but he's down to 24th now as the others are going to come in, including Jose Acosta, Jose Medina, Eric Oliver and Joshua Daniels are all going to be in separately, and this is why pitting as a 4-driver group is a lot safer.
So we can see what happens here and see why he's on pit road here. And this is a different group. We'll wait and see what happens to him. But I'm curious if there was just a miscommunication about where someone's box is, and maybe that's what caused that contact. But now Vincent will come around and have to pit again. So Vincent's now in the spot begging for a caution so he can get caught up here, because he will probably go a lap down because of this. That second time down pit road will make all of the difference. That's pretty crazy to see what happened here. Not very often do we see contact on pit road.
No, Jose Acosta comes out first, but who's going to be leading? Luke Christian is leading the field around in a small group, actually. A small group of 5. There they are. But there's a bigger pack who are onto them right now. They're going to go roaring past these guys on the apron. It's not looking good at all for those who pit late. I've got to say, Christian is being pushed very well as well, I've got to say, by Luis Rodriguez. And now they're going to go through. Luke Christian's going to be in the lead of this race. Rodriguez second, Pat Harvey third, and they're making a break for it.
Yeah, anytime you have those kind of troubles on pit road from anybody, it's going to break up your drafting pack, it's going to make life difficult, and you're going to lose a lot of momentum. Here's the one off of pit road, finally made his stop on the beginning of lap 40, so even he, of course, can't make it on just the one stop. Nobody can. So now you start to play that game that I wonder about. When do you make the second stop? That sounds really early to talk about, right? But in that 10 laps, that window opens, and I'm curious as someone if maybe private label team Hype wants to pit early and get it out of the way.
They've done it before, and they've won a race as a result, or won races as a result. Trent Dinkle is in that second group along with Abner Acosta, notably, and I think that second group, surely that second group is going to have enough to catch these guys here. There's 4 leaders at the moment. Luke Christian is out front, ahead of Luis Rodriguez, Pat Harvey and Waldo Walden as they put a car a lap down. That is Brandon Fetterplate, I think. Oh, no, excuse me, it's Tommy Brandon in the 11 car going a lap down. And then there's these guys. There's this second group that goes all the way down to 13th position. So there's another 9 cars in this group here, 9 lead lap cars anyway, who are in this group, and they've got the task of catching those up in front, and they've got to work together here. 3.5 seconds it is at the moment, and they're not catching currently.
No, so here's the first thing that people will assume, right? Oh, a bigger group means they go faster. It means that they're going to have a faster line than the group before. But the downside of that pack, they're going to come on your screen in just a second here, is that they have a lot of momentum breaking, a lot of accordion effects, a lot of checking up, a lot of drivers dipping out of line, and each one of those breaks that momentum and sort of slows them down. So there actually is a belief amongst some iRacers that really 4 or 5 cars is the ideal draft line if you can make it happen.
Well, you look at the interval gap now though, it initially went out, but you can see it start stabilising and just start to catch up. We're hearing that the 51 car, Mackenzie Roon, has retired from the race after going a lap down and missing the leading pack, or either of the leading packs actually, because there is a third one that we've not seen so far, led by Eric Oliver in 14th position. Jose Medina is back there, notably. But there's a 6-car group, a third group on the road. So the main leaders, the main guys on the lead lap are split into 3 packs, and then there's Brian Dixon, who's missed everyone and is off the back of everybody as well, sort of on his own. This, meanwhile, is what happened to Mackenzie Roon in the 51 car. We'll see if anything of note. No, he just pulls to the inside and says, that's enough for me, thank you, and he is done for the day. So, as I say, 3 groups out there on the road. 3.8 seconds is the crucial gap though, 3.9 in fact, as James O'Brien tries to lead that second group back on terms.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see if they can do it. I saw a car in the middle. I'm guessing that's a car probably a lap down in the middle of that group. That back group, catching that car will help them a lot though, so they'll gain that momentum from that draft if they go around him and pick up a little bit of speed right there. Oh, hold on, there's a blown motor. That was Luis Rodriguez. He just blew a motor. That's too much drafting, and that will kill that line for a moment and give that back group a chance here. That big puff of bad gray smoke, you saw it live there on the screen. Oof.
Gone. Rodriguez from this race is finished. 45 laps into this one. He barely made it halfway. As you say, he's been one of the best pushers of the day actually. He's been driving very well as well, and he got pole by 1/4 of a second, but maybe was a little bit too aggressive with the engine temperatures, and he has blown a motor, and unfortunately that front group has lost their best pusher as well.
Yeah, so that's what happens is you push too much here. Almost like what's happening here with that's Dinkle behind O'Brien. You have to let up a little bit. You have to get some air into that car, and you have to let that thing cool down. There's all kinds of readings across your dashboard. You have an iRacing that will start blinking red, and that tells you, hey, you need to back up. You need to get out of line. You need to do something. If you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, you're going to blow that motor just like Rodriguez did. So now Pat Harvey's taking up that job of pushing on Lou Christian, because these guys want to do their best to stay up ahead of that big pack, this race amongst themselves.
And it's easier than ever, isn't it, to spot the fact that you're about to blow an engine, because the electronic dash that you've got these days should make it blindingly obvious with flashing red instead of just a gauge that would be comparatively easier to miss.
Yeah, for sure, right? And also iRacing offers that additional dash of just a numeric dashboard you can load in as well. So lots of things here. Look at Pat Harvey. Look at that stoic face. A little bit of biting in the lip. Just very calm and cool and collected here. Lap 47 to 90. We're past the halfway point, and this thing has stayed green.
It has. And the three out front are still staying out front at the moment. Just over 3 seconds. I said immediately after that they've lost their best pusher, and Rodriguez certainly was, but Harvey and Walden have taken up the mantle really, and have started to push Lou Christian almost just as hard. It seems that these three even are able to stay clear. It's just a case somewhat of how long are they going to be able to do this for, because of the engine that we've just seen, because of the temperatures, how much are we going to be able to see this for? Whereas further behind they might be able to cycle through different pushers because there's more of them to sort of go for. But if Harvey and Walden start to overheat, then I don't really see what they can do about it.
Yeah, I'm stunned. I'm the one who said it as well, that they just lost. They killed their momentum, was my words. I thought for sure this group would have fell back because of that gap it made in the line between Harvey and Christian. But they've closed it up quickly and got it going. Now, what Harvey really wants, by the way, is for Walden to get a little bit closer. He doesn't want him to push him. You don't want to push the pusher. But every smidgen he gets closer is a better push that Harvey can give to Lou Christian. Now, that time on your screen, you see on the ticker on the left side, it's decreasing now. We're down to 2.6 seconds. That line has gotten formed up apparently in that second group, and they're organized now because they're closing pretty quickly here.
Yeah, very quickly. 2.5 seconds now, the gap. And by the way, the gap to the third group on the road is only growing. 8 seconds now, and I don't think they've got much chance as a grouping of 6. Oh dear, they're disorganised as well. There's a lapped car involved. It's chaos back here in the third group, and that's exactly why they're losing time.
Man, we're talking about the chaos of Daytona. Look at the chaos of lighting in that PC case there. That is like a rave or something. What is that? I feel like we've seen that PC case before, and I don't remember it being that. Where do you want to get excited, or I don't know.
Over the top? I don't know what you want to say.
Over the top? Yeah, I'll take over the top. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it depends. Some people might like it, I suppose. It's certainly quite spectacular.
Like a
the job,
pop concert inside that PC case, like Fortnite Festival inside there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But there we are. It's that's fine. Still in the third group, of course. These are back with the leaders again. Lou Christian, Pat Harvey, Walden. Now 40 laps to go. We've kind of dismissed that in all of this. I get the feeling that these three might well be caught, but as soon as they are, we might well see more pit stops, and this whole thing could start again.
Yeah, we are now in that area where the pit window is open. Assuming we, as the trend is right now, that we stay green and we do all 90 laps, the pit window's open. If you were to pit from here on out, you'd be good on gas for the rest of the race. But James O'Brien and Trent Dinkle are doing an amazing job here at keeping that line moving. But they've got everyone in line. They've got a great group here. It's O'Brien, Dinkle, Walton, Abner Acosta, Chad Kibbe, Scotty Johnson, and others trying to push back forward. Now, sort of the dangerous part of this will be when they catch them, because they're going to have a humongous run on them. And hopefully they just try to go up high and pass them by. And we'll wait and see how that plays out. But that would be a dangerous part, will be the big run they're going to have.
It's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic now that we've got 50 laps complete. We're in that final pit window, because realistically everybody can pit and make it to the end from here. However, there is the interesting discussion point that do you want to be in the pit lane and potentially trapped a lap down, or potentially trapped most of a lap down, because even if it's just the private label team hype guys that come in, if they're left on their own to come into the pit lane, they could easily be lapped. If there's a yellow at the wrong time, they could be trapped a lap down. There's always that danger if you're on that different strategy.
Yeah, it is a danger. I think if you were to pit as a team here, a team of 4 or 5, then I think you'll be fine. I think that you can maybe stick to the back end of the lead lap and not be lapped and run that risk, and then you have to hope that either the other group pits or that, you know, a yellow comes out and sort of levels the playing field a bit. I agree with you. I'm more of a write-it-out type of person. I've probably run this lap till like 78, 79, and then come down and pit. But there are some drivers who want to get it over with, and get it out of the way, and not have that stress of things to worry about. Because when you're in the last laps of the race and you're trying to process data, how much gas do I have, and let me set up my pit stop, and let me do all this, those are unnecessary thoughts you don't need to clog up your mind.
I think there's a bit of ventilation going on at the moment in this second group. I think it's fair to say. People just looking around a little bit for some clear air. There you go. Just a little bit of looking around. A bit of backing off as well, but certainly further down the group. But Trent Dinkel's still pushing pretty hard here. James O'Brien is the one leading the group in the 3 car. But they look like they're on their way here. 1.5 seconds now the gap. They brought it down from nearly 4. And as I said though, this middle third of the race has been very much categorised by those pit stops, and the pattern of the race has been established by what we've just been watching. But get the feeling that cycle's going to start all over again with a second round of pit stops that will be coming up as soon as, or maybe just after the catch.
Yeah, that's the question. When will they happen? You're right, this race is about to change dynamics. For maybe about 15 laps now. It's been kind of a 3-car race, and everyone's sort of running them down. But when you get this group back together, now we've all caught each other, now we've met our goal, now the goal changes. Now it's no longer stay in line and catch the leaders. Now it's, I want to lead. I want to be in a position to maybe win this race. I want to make moves. That's where the new mindset will be. And that'll start to get this thing hyped back up and moving again as soon as they catch them.
Trent Dinkel wants to catch right now. He's trying to get James O'Brien and everyone else right back on terms. You can see the rest of the field just being stretched out that little bit. And now a bit of weaving around from Lou Christian as well. Clearly the games have been played as to where do you want to run when the catch is made. And Lou Christian wants to lead the outside line, by the looks of things. O'Brien stays on the inside. We've actually got Chad Kibbe, I think it is, going up high at the moment. And maybe that's going to just screw over a few people at the moment, because O'Brien is being pushed nicely by Dinkel and Walter, but the others have no longer come with them.
I don't understand. I have to be honest with you. If I were the cars up front and I was getting caught, I would want to be on the bottom lane and make these guys go around me. I don't understand the idea of giving up the inside lane, giving up the shorter line, the quicker line to the cars that are charging. I would have stuck to the bottom and made them merge me into their line. I wouldn't give it up. But new leader James O'Brien did it. They have caught them. I am confused.
I don't know.
Gosh darn it. You and O'Leary? There's an inside joke from RaceSpotTV in that your name is Evan, and I can't get that out of my head.
Yeah, nobody ever gets it right, so it's fine. Luke Christian, I think, doesn't really want to lead a line anymore, to be honest. Pat Harvey's giving him almost no choice by pushing him. Look at that. He's not giving him a moment's respite there. And he's going around the outside and going back maybe for the lead again now. Brandon Walter just backing off slightly, almost as if to say, well, no, you're not going to get onto the low side. I'm going to try and prevent you from doing so. Pat Harvey doing the same as well. Now Abner Acosta is getting a bit closer again as he's getting pushed by Chad Kibbe. I think they were playing those games for which line they're going to run in when the catch was made a little bit too early, because Kibbe getting alongside Acosta actually ruined it all for everybody, but now they're finally back in touch.
I feel like Lou wanted to get to the bottom lane here and kind of get in line with the cars, and then Pat Harvey said, nope, we're not doing that. I don't want to be down there, and Pat just sort of pushed me beyond that clear call, and here they go. Now they're clear, almost. If not, no, maybe not clear, but they're darn close here. Lou Christian could pull down and be in a better spot on the low line.
Well, whether he likes it. Here we go. Pit stops again. And the private label team Hype Boys Arena already with 32 to go at Daytona. Lap 58, we've got pit stops for the final time. Let's hope they all hit their marks and they all know where they're going. No contact on pit lane, hopefully. There's a leading 12 at the moment who are in contention for this race. And 4 of them have just come into the pit lane. Don't mind some of the lap cars that are involved in this leading group, by the way. There is one that is running around with these guys, hoping for a lucky dog maybe on the restart. I think it should be Chris Vincent, as far as I can tell, but we'll find out. Now, how many of these remaining 8 come into pit lane as a response? Or do they begin to run separately? They're going to run separately. We're going to have a race on different parts of this racetrack.
Yeah, that's one of those things that can happen at a super speedway, is different beliefs happen. What these guys are scared of is what you talked about earlier. What if we pit now, and then what if a yellow comes out? What if a wreck happens? What if I mess up my pit stop? What if this? What if that? And so they want to wait and see if something happens and maybe the yellow does come out and they can pit it under yellow and have an easier pit stop. That's probably what they're waiting for. Look at that. Again, Pat Harvey, maybe one of the best pushers tonight. He has been all over the back of everybody and is still pushing Luke Christian.
Brandon Walter may have lost the private label team hype guys, by the way. I'm looking at the timing screen and he's not looking good. Something is going on there. They're not quite as organised as they should be at private label team hype. There is Walter. Look, he's on his own. The 99 car's been abandoned by his teammates. They can't do anything about it either. There the 3 of them go, and they're pushing hard. They're going for this, and Brandon Walter has been left behind. Another interesting thing to note, just 7 seconds in the box for these 3. They clearly only took 2 tyres and a little bit less fuel than in that first stop where they probably would have filled up the tank.
Yeah, so I say it makes me wonder if Brandon Walter maybe just messed up the communication about how much gas and tires they were all taking, and that time on pit road and that time in the box is what's going to create that gap on the track here. So again, Christian, Harvey, Waldo Walden, Chad Kibbe, Scotty Johnson, Daniels, and others are just going to keep going around here and being the lead pack here at Daytona. Boy, this is just a nerve-wracking track. No matter where you are here, there's never a moment to stop and rest. There's never a moment to stop and think about it. You always have to have your eyes open and be thinking about all the ideas every lap of this race. It's exhausting.
Brian Dixon is one of the drivers they just passed there. By the way, private label team hype drivers. Luke Christian goes up to the high side there to go round Brandon Walter, who is now going to be a lap down for the first time tonight, and now there's going to be a little bit of a look of too wide. Christian's got to get back down to the bottom here though, and they've got to remain focused. Lead lap drivers with a 45.7 on that time around. The private label team hype guys did the same, so they're currently being matched. Although, when I say that, it's probably a tenth quicker actually for private label team hype. Maybe they are just that little bit quicker. And look at these gaps.
Yeah, that gap is right there. And then this is sort of that symbolism what I talked about earlier, where they all got around Brandon Walter, and then they all moved down and they sort of sucked him into that draft. And he'll get up to speed eventually, not instantly, because the car has to kind of wind up, but now he's got a pusher behind him. This is probably the correct way, quote-unquote, to do it, as he has now gone a lap down, by the way, has Walter from that bad pit stop. But that's the way you want to do it. Now, that said, if you have one of those lapped cars, I would be a little annoyed with Brandon Walter. Hey, listen, we're racing for something. Can you please move? Can you get out of our way? We don't want to go high to pass you. So probably 2 different opinions there of how that should have gone.
Well, he's in the pack now. The reason he wants to stay in the pack, by the way, is because Chris Vincent is there. And if there's a caution right now, then they'll be fighting for the lucky dog in this group, and that's never helpful when you're focusing on getting out. Now, this is what happened to Walter. See, this is what confused me. He was with the guys initially. He was right there, and he gets on the accelerator, but maybe not quite as quickly as Abner Acosta just to in front. Maybe there was a mistake around NASCAR turn 1 and 2, because it's not the easiest pit road to exit from. You can't just get straight up onto the banking in iRacing, and so he just wasn't quite as brave or as strong on the pit exit.
No, I think everything that happened here, which is hard to tell from replay, I'm pretty sure, I think he was starting to speed towards the end of pit road, because I felt like the car kind of jerked and slowed down right at the exit line there. So I think he sort of broke that momentum, which created that a bit of gap as well. But you're right, it's hard to stay down on that apron here at Daytona and not slide up. Because if you get up above that double yellow line before the blue cone, it is a massive penalty under green flag if you mess up and have an unsafe re-entry. But yeah, he just lost them. You're right. There was no difference on pit road. I was wrong. He just had a hard time.
Yep, he did. Through goes the leaders again. So lap 66 now. We're in the final third of the race. But, I mean, we didn't exactly extend that first stint right the way to lap 40. So realistically, we can't actually be that far away from these stops anyway. And here are the leaders again. Wonder whether they'll all come down pit lane together or not.
Yeah, you're right. So there was that first group we talked about. Maybe would someone do it? Would they come down early? And Private Label did. As you said, Private Label's been known to make some team decisions in the past that seem weird when they happen, but somehow they pay off. So this could be another one that maybe they know something we don't know. But right now, Lou Christian is getting close. If he is not yet locked up most laps led tonight, he's got to be getting darn close to that record.
And I'm getting concerned on their behalf now as well, because they're starting to lose some time. 45.8 from the Private Label Team Hype guys, 46.1 from this group here. It's not looking good, and the longer they stay out there, the longer they lose time as well. I personally don't understand why they wouldn't have come in the lap afterwards.
Well, like I said, I think they're going to just play out the old, what I call the old strategy of we're just going to run it to the end, we're going to run it dry, maybe something happens where a caution comes out or who knows what, and we can pit it under yellow. Not everyone's in tune to pitting early and doing the undercut. Some people want to run it dry and see how far they can take it and know just how much the gas they need later.
I don't agree with the idea of staying out for this long, if I'm honest with you. It was a bit better of a lap time that time, 45.8, which matched at least the Private Label Team Hype drivers, but I still think it's very marginally slower. And my problem is as well with it is that if they come out behind and they lose the draft to them immediately, then there's no way of getting it back. There's no amount of working together they can do to get it back. And the Private Label Team Hype guys are not going to fight until the final few laps. Look at the organisation here, for example, and look at the disorganisation at the back of the leaders group of Lou Christian and followed by everyone else. There was a bit of side-by-side a bit further back. And there's someone disattached now. Jose Acosta might be about to lose the draft entirely. It's not organised. Not as organised as it should be.
No, you're right. It's not that organized. As we said earlier, this line can get so big where accordions can happen, checkups can happen. People want to get out of the line and go faster and make moves where you can kill a pretty big draft line pretty easily. I mean, Pat Harvey, I'm just so impressed. I've gotten a chance to know Pat a little bit in my time covering PRL, and a really smart, really talented guy, but this is maybe some of the best driving I've seen from Pat in a while, with just that great pushing and just knowing how to do it, doing it well. Those are two separate things we don't talk about a lot. There's a difference between pushing and pushing correctly, and a bad bump or a bad push can end a race. But when you get up there and you push right in the middle of that bumper, it's an impressive skill.
Pitting in that third group, or was previously the third group, now was promoted to the second group briefly, led on by Ben Lafter and Jeff Chandler. They all pit together, so surely these guys have got to be in pretty soon as well. We've got to be getting towards 40 laps now in this stint for these guys, and well, there's a couple of ducks down to the inside, but they're looking for a bit of air by the looks of it, and everyone's getting a bit closer together. They're all maybe a bit more organised and a bit more motivated now, but is it too little too late here at this stage of the race? They actually gained some time on Private Label Team Hype's drivers on that time around, so maybe all is not lost for these guys.
Maybe all is not lost. You see them passing the drivers who had just pitted. There was a few of them down on the apron. They'll blow by them pretty easily and keep moving along here. Now those drivers in the back there, maybe they'll benefit the group behind, however, by the time they get up to speed, who knows who can and can't catch them. We'll have to wait and see. So right now it's Dinko, O'Brien, Acosta, Dixon, about 41 seconds back. That's going to be close because you obviously have your pit delta of just getting down pit road at 60 miles an hour. You're looking at a splash and go pit stop if you're Luke Christian, Pat Harvey, or the others. These cars could end up merging back together almost identically together, out of NASCAR 2. So that'll be the questions. When does this merge happen and how well does it happen? I don't know. I think it's going to merge back together. I can't see how private label Team Hype has any big benefit time-wise from what they're doing.
I don't know. I think this is going all right for them at the moment. But we'll wait and see. We've had a couple of long stops, I'm afraid, further back. Eric Oliver, one of those, who's spent 45 seconds in pit lane. Devin Mains spent a while down there as well, unfortunately, in that latest round of pit stops. So I think Ben Lafter also had a bit of problem as well there. It seems that we've reduced our front group actually to just 6 now. Vincent Sepulveda and Jose Acosta are off the back of the group, and there's a lap car still in with these guys. I think it is it's Vincent, isn't it, in the 1 car? Yes, it is. And Brandon Walter actually has been caught on the wrong side of it as well, so 3 cars have been disconnected. And maybe in this kind of group, 3 cars getting disconnected from the leaders is maybe a good thing. This is what happened into the box. Oh no, Devin Mains got that all wrong.
Yeah, I see him having to back up there and get in. That's why he lost the pack. That's a massive. And the car in front of him, I think, had to back up too, it looked like. Or is that him moving forward? I can't. The perspective is hard to tell there.
I think they're both
moving. It's like a bad Austin Powers move right there, isn't it?
Yeah, everyone was moving. It might be Ben Lafter just in front. I'm not sure. To be honest, Devin Mains having a longer stop as a result and losing the draft in the end. So just 16 laps to go at the end of this lap. We're really getting down towards the end of this now. Still no cautions here at Daytona. It's been a clean and green race so far in the PRL Cup Series. Are we finally going to see our pit stops for the leading 6? No, it will continue. Will it be between these 6 or the other 4 for this race win? Well, Brian Dixon, I'm afraid, is not going to be involved in this battle for the race win. It's going to be between Dinkel, O'Brien and Acosta. If it's just left for the private label Team Hype drivers, they gain another 1/4 of a second on that lap. It might well be just a showdown between the teammates.
Yeah, memory tells me they pitted about lap 37, 38 the first time by, so that group up front of Christian, Harvey, Walden, Kibbe, and others, they've got to be hitting that mark any time now. And they're going to come down pit road. They're going to do, I'm sure, gas only, no tires. There's no time to put tires on it. This is not a full tank of fuel. It'll be just the minimum they think they need to get this till the end of lap 90. And they'll try and come down. It's not going to be this time. Man, they must be lifting and saving, and maybe that's the difference in the lap time you're seeing, because this is already getting up to lap 40 on this run, if my memory serves correctly, when they pitted the first time.
They must be so confident in the strategy that they're going with at the moment. It's quite remarkable, really. There is the view on the backstretch here. A spread out field here at Daytona. A tactical race, very tactical, very strategic. One that you don't often see at Daytona. You certainly won't see tomorrow night. So enjoy it while you can. Here are the guys they're going up against, who might be able to just lose a helper here. And here we go. Pit lane now for the leaders. And is there going to be as much trouble as there was when the leading pack came on pit lane last time? Make sure you all get single file here, ready for your pit stall. Luke Christian and Pat Harvey has done that. Kibbe and Walden are side by side. Let's hope they're ordered in the right way, and they are. And all 7 of them, or 6 of them, excuse me, get onto pit lane nicely. Now, do they all get into the box correctly as well? It looks like it. I don't think anybody slid through the box. Now, make sure it's just 7 seconds and go. Waldo Walden, 8 seconds. Joshua Daniels with a long stop. Chad Kibbe's got it about right. He's out with Pat Harvey first. But here come the private label Team Hype drivers. This is the race right here at Daytona in the PRL Cup Series. The private label Team Hype drivers in the bottom right hand side of your screen. And there's battles even off of NASCAR 1 and 2, down on the apron. Who is that on the low side? It's Luke Christian, who's right on the back of Scotty Johnson, who cannot get up to speed quickly enough. There's smoke just up in front here. Here come the private label Team Hype drivers. There's someone around. Jack Kibbe, he was leading the way, and he's gone around. It looks like private label Team Hype have not quite got solved this one. Pat Harvey and Waldo Walden are out front alone.
Now this team of 2 here, they likely will get run down though by that big group of 5 on the outside. I know I said smaller groups can be better, but I like the odds of 5 versus a group of 2 here, because Team Hype had that momentum of already having their engines revved up here. They need to be within 1 second to make that draft work. Let's watch the replay here, because we talked about that. It's going to be Chad Kibbe with that Jordan-esque car here on the inside. Pat Harvey's going to be right behind him. And Kibbe, I think, Ewan, he money shifted.
He blew his engine on the exit, and he had such a good chance to win this race as well, did Chad Kibbe. Such a shame from him. Trent Dinkle now takes the lead here ahead of James O'Brien. Then it's Abner Acosta, and the others have got to latch on here. Pat Harvey has done so. Jose Acosta as well. Jose Acosta's done so well to get back in this group. I've no idea how he's done that. Vicente Sepulveda as well. Hats off to the both of them. Scotty Johnson's involved here too. Lou Christian's led a long way. He might even get the bonus point for leading the laps here. He's 9th, ahead of Joshua Daniels, and that is it in terms of the leaders. 10 of them. Here is a replay of Trent Dinkle taking the lead. I'm going to presume here he's getting pushed by James O'Brien, as we're seeing it on the bottom right hand side of your screen as well, and they're just going to draft straight past Pat Harvey. But now the battles are really on. Now this race is a race to the flag. 11 to go at the line.
And look at that, Pat Harvey's already got a group up top that includes Waldo Walden, Jose Acosta, and others on back, and they're going to try to get back up even here. So now all bets are off. Now we're done being patient, we're done being calm, we're done staying in line. We've all got our pit stops done, we know what we have, and now we're going to race hard. Now, here's maybe our first white knuckle moment of the night that I can think of. There are 2 lapped cars up ahead, and they're going to have to make us go 3 wide. Oh man, there's more than that. This will be scary to watch this happen. These are always white knuckle moments.
So we're in that stage of the race all over again. It's almost come full circle here. We've got a big group at the front, and they're just going to go around mopping up other groups now. So there's a group of 2 just in front of these guys, and then there's a lone soul out there, and they may well all get together here. In fact, the lone driver is just going to get well out of the way of everybody here. Not interested. I think it's Brandon Walter, who doesn't want to get involved at all with what's going on in the lead, and fair enough to him. But the 2 others who are on the low side here are very much wanting to, well, not wanting to get involved, but they are going to do. And Trent Dinkle has just gone around them, but will James O'Brien get around them here? It's all going to be a levelling of speed now, and Dinkle's going to go up to the high start and abandon his teammates. Private label Team Hype have been split up by this.
Yeah, and if you're Trent Dinkle, James O'Brien, or others, that's frustrating. I know I said earlier about there's time to stay in the bottom, let the draft suck you in. We're 10 laps to go. It's time to get out of the way, with all due respect, and let that race happen. Man, here we go though. Dinkle up top, and Pat Harvey is going to get on the inside, and he's going to lead this lap.
And Pat Harvey abandons Trent Dinkle immediately. No loyalty shown there, because there wasn't any built up at all. And James O'Brien's immediately back to his teammate, gives him a huge shove, says, go get that lead back again. And he might well do. Trent Dinkle on the outside.
Yeah, the question I have is, can Dinkle hold that lead though? Because when O'Brien gives that shove and leaves that big gap of air, it means that there's not much draft happening beyond that here. Another piece of lap traffic. This one's going to go up to the top. Like I believe they should, in my opinion. And now let's be 3 wide for just a moment here.
I think they might well get collected by the group here, and we'll hopefully be able to get in and race with them. At least increase a bit of speed here, although maybe not actually. So outside line working well. It's Dinkle, O'Brien and Acosta, and those private label Team Hype guys are going to be difficult to detach now with 8 to go. If you're the other 7 in this group, you've got to find a way to get those 3 split up, really.
Yeah, or you got to find a way just to really keep up with them for now. And now the question becomes that age-old question: when do you want to make the move? Do you want to make it on 2 to go? Do you want to wait till it's white flag? Do you want to make the move now and make Dinkle have to get around you? There's a lot of those questions about strategy that comes into play here. And Waldo Walden's given a great shove to Pat Harvey here, and they are side by side out of 4.
Very close indeed, but teammates showing a lot of loyalty to each other here. They're not willing to abandon one another to block the other line, and so is that loyalty going to see them lose out at the end of the day? Well, it might well do with 7 to go. The low side getting somewhere, but if Dinkle was sort of had the bravery to go and block the low side and the high side all at the same time, then he might well be able to command this race a little bit better.
Yeah, he might, but he'd also be leaving his teammates behind, and who knows if they get reconnected, and that's something they want to think about as well. Those guys do an amazing job of communicating within our Discord. all race long. But you're right, Dinkle has that clear. O'Brien, not so much, but Dinkle is definitely clear there and could get down. But I'm telling you right now, I believe Richard Regan is probably saying, hey, dude, at some point, as your spotter, I'm telling you, you're going to have to get down and leave your teammates. This is an individual driver sport.
Yeah, it is not a team sport after all. Not in this respect, anyway. So Pat Harvey will get alongside him now, and he will be saying inside, Richard Regan, who's spotting for Trent Dinkle today, long-time PRL driver, of course. On the backstretch, it's a nose-to-nose race, but it's one that the high side has been winning for quite a while. When Private Label Team Hype were on the low side, actually, they were finding it a bit more difficult, but now they're up high. They are leading almost every lap.
Yeah, some people would say the high lane easier. And here, watch this replay here. This will be coming on the pit road. Lots of brake lock up you see there.
This was in the first round of pit stops, by the way. We were trying to figure out why Tommy Brandon is retired from the race. Well, there's the contact he had with the one car.
Chris Vincent.
Yeah, with Chris Vincent, and he pulls off to the grass and says, that's enough, I think. Or is he still running? Oh, he is still running, but he is 2 laps down at this stage in the race. By the way, Chad Kibbe down on pit lane and probably retired from the race now after that injury. Both so is Louis Rodriguez, to add to Mackenzie Roon and Park Hilliard, also having retired from this race here this evening with just 4 to go and out at Daytona.
Yeah, and some people believe at the end of a race, you want to be on the outside. Off the corners, there's less wheel input. You can carry more momentum, you carry more speed, and sometimes it's easier to make a run to the line on the outside. For the first time tonight, it feels like we're starting to see a little bit of side draft happening. Look how close they're going to start to squeeze these cars on the inside, and then they're going to kind of come back up there. What they're trying to do is basically kill the run that the cars have on the inside. Look at Pat Harvey here. That's that same stoic face we saw about 50 laps ago. But I guarantee you, listen, whether it's a Daytona 500, whether it's a Daytona 200, you're winning a race at Daytona in iRacing, there's some pride, some feeling of accomplishment. You get a little nervous about this point in the race. With 4 to go, the nerves start to kick in.
Now, this race ended up being a 225-mile race here tonight. Out over the line again with 3 to go here in the PRL Cup Series. And as I said before, Trent Dinkle is leading every single one of these laps at the moment. There he is. How can he be stopped by that low side at the moment? I'm not sure how they can get better organised to try and beat him to the line. Something has got to happen here.
Well, the question could be, are the people on the inside, is Harvey and others sort of laying back and waiting? They don't want to blow the motor too soon. You want to make sure you have something. So maybe they're going to just wait and see and push a little harder here as Walden got him a little off center, and you saw Harvey move around a little bit. But wait and see. And then here's the other question. Are all 4 Team Hype guys really stuck together? Or when we get 1 to go, do some of them form a third lane? Listen, as I said, this is not a team sport at the end of the day. Everybody wants to win at Daytona.
They do. Look at the positional gain there for Pat Harvey. He'd like to gain 14 places on the day and maybe go to victory lane at the end of this one. We're on the penultimate lap at Daytona. This is where it's getting intense now. Trent Dinkle still dictating it from the high side, even if he's not quite blocking at the moment. He doesn't need to. He's still leading here with 1 to go at the line.
1 to go is going to be the call at the line. Barney, the flagman, will have the white flag in his hand. Pat Harvey's going to close up here. Now he's begging Walden to push even harder and harder and harder. It's going to be a drag race here, and I hope that's a preview of what happens 1 lap from now.
Well, if it's going to be 1 lap from now, Dinkle would take it. The white flag's out at Daytona in the 7th round of the PRL Cup Series. And look at the outside line. Private Label Team Hype going for this. And Abner Acosta goes to the low side. Trent Dinkle has to block his teammate. Now it's going to be about the teammates going up against one another with 3 wide in the background, which is just going to take the momentum away from them. And here goes Trent Dinkle to the high side now as well. Through the middle goes Jose Acosta. He can't get anywhere. He's alongside his brother. There's going to be contact. Oh dear, up on the low side. Pat Harvey on the apron. He can't find an avenue down there. It's going to be between Trent Dinkle and James O'Brien. If the 33 car wants to betray his teammate, he can go for this, but it doesn't look like he will. Trent Dinkle is going to lead the final lap at Daytona and win here in the PRL Cup Series.
Wow. Back-to-back wins for Trent Dinkel. Did it last week at Long Beach, does it here again at Daytona. Amazing, amazing race.
Well, Luke Christian just about beat him to the most laps led, but Trent Dinkel beat everyone to the most important lap to lead. The drivers coming up for 11th place will be exciting as well. Ben Lafter will just about win that race. Brandon Walter 30 seconds off where he will believe he should have been at the end of today. But no cautions at Daytona. How good was that? Fantastic racing, and something you won't see tomorrow, certainly. It all got to an exciting finish as well, though. It wasn't just an interestingly strategic race, but it also got that grandstand finish.
It got the amazing finish, right? All the strategies came together. Everyone became one group, and everyone fought. And just like I thought, it one to go. Team loyalty out the window.
Absolutely. Abner Acosta tried to steal it, but Trent Dinkel takes the win. James O'Brien didn't fancy coming round his teammate to win in the end, and Vicente Sepulveda, what a drive from him to get into third place. Joshua Daniels got inside the top 5, so did Luke Christian. Abner Acosta finished 6th. Waldo Walden and Pat Harvey can be feeling pretty entitled to be disappointed with 7th and 8th, to be honest. Scotty Johnson and Jose Acosta round out those that finished in the lead group. Ben Lafter and Brandon Walter and Jeff Chandler battled to the line for 11th. Bruno Mello came over the line 14th. Jose Medina ran out of fuel, so that's why his split time looks a bit odd. He will be credited with 15th place. Devon Mains, Brian Dixon and Chris Vinson finished 1 lap down. Eric Oliver and Brandon Fetterplace were 2 laps down in the end, along with Tommy Brandon. Chad Kibbe, Louis Rodriguez, Mackenzie Roon and Park Hilliard failed to get to the finish. Well, what a fantastic race that was. 225 miles. No cautions here at Daytona, just fantastic racing right to the very end. Let's talk to one of the main protagonists who finished 3rd here on the day, Vicente Sepulveda, who at one stage had actually lost the draft of the group that he was in. Throughout the pit stop phase, he managed to get back within it again, and he managed to battle for the race lead at the end too. Welcome in, Vicente. Good to have you with us to have a bit of a chat after that one. You made a fantastic recovery, I've got to say. I did write you off at one point when you lost the draft, but you got back in there for the final run to the flag, and you managed to work your way up to 3rd position. Just first of all, tell us about those final couple of laps.
Well, they were awesome. I mean, it was such a fantastic race. It's really, really nice to be able to race with these guys and not having so many yellows, actually none, and be able to actually race. I also thought that I was done when I lost the draft, but I managed to go back, and I went down just at the exact moment in front of Abner to get the 3rd place.
And just what did you think at that point when you lost the draft? Because I wrote you off, as I've got to say. How did you get back into that leading group?
No, just be patient. Well, it helped me that Luis Rodriguez, who was in the front pack, blew his engine. Well, he's my teammate, so feel sorry for him, but that kind of slowed down the front group. So we managed to catch them very slowly, but we catch them at the end.
Well, it was a fantastic run to the flag, Vicente. Congratulations on 3rd position here tonight, and thanks for coming to chat to us as well.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks very much. Vicente Sepulveda there, 3rd place on the day. Let's work our way up the podium, shall we, and chat to James O'Brien next of all, who finished in that 2nd position. Welcome in, James. Good to have you with us again as well. A 10th away from taking the race win on this occasion, but 2nd position in the end. Just tell us about that last lap where it all finally kicked off in the front group.
Everybody kind of has their own agenda on the last lap. Mine was going to be try to make a move a little later, but Abner, by going early, I kind of had to play more defense. And at that time, I decided to give the run to Trent. I could have passed him, but I decided if I don't hit him here on the backstretch and push him out farther, these people are going to catch us. And then when I looked behind, I saw they went 3 wide, and the side draft in these cars are insane. I pinched Abner down and slowed his momentum, hit Trent, pushed us out, just us 2, and at that point I knew I had nothing. It was just going to be 1-2, and that was the best I was going to get. So I'm pretty happy with that. My goal is usually just to survive these races, and our strategy worked out perfectly.
You mentioned Abner kicked things off there on the final lap. Just what are the team games actually like at that point? Because you were clearly working as a team throughout the rest of the race, pitting together, of course, and working together on your own for quite some time in that race. But if you didn't look much like teammates on the last lap. So what's the sort of dynamic there?
There's no team orders. It's just a matter of we would like you to win, but don't do anything that's going to cause harm to your teammates. So if you win by wrecking everybody else, it's kind of doesn't look that great, but go for it. Like if you think you can make the move, make the move. And that's kind of why I decided, you know what, it would be better if I just push Trent to a win than try to make a move to pass him, because then I'm going to slow both of us down back into that pack, into the hornet's nest, and we all saw how that ended up.
Well, it ended up with you guys 1-2. Congrats on the second position here tonight, James, and thanks for chatting to us as well.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks very much, James O'Brien there, chatting to us at the end of tonight's race at Daytona. And finally, Trent Dinkle on the top step of the podium here today. First position. Trent, congratulations on another win in this series. That's 3 in a row in the PRL Cup Series now, but this one was certainly tense to the very end. Tell us about the last lap from your perspective.
I mean, we said we were going to wait until the last lap before we started fighting each other, as in me, James, and Abner, but I think Abner decided to start fighting just a little bit too early. And then definitely, huge shout out to James, because he could have left me out to dry, but he gave me a huge shot going into 4, and then I saw the run coming from Jose, and he blocked it, and then they just were messing up in the back, and I don't know if James was not really trying to pass me for the win, or if I just had a good enough run out of 4 that he couldn't get to me, but he definitely wasn't there to try something. So, it was Daytona.
Yeah, it certainly was. He said that he probably could have passed you in the end, but didn't. He wanted one of you guys to win, and he thought that you might have the better chance to do so, which is fair enough. What were you expecting from it, though? Were you expecting him to just go and try and pass you, or were you expecting that same mindset that, we'll just get one of the team to win?
Honestly, I think we agreed that one of us should try and win, so that way we don't let somebody from SGE win, so we can keep growing our points lead. But Abner was the one that I knew was going to make a move, because I know he gets bored when we're doing play races, and I can't really blame him. They're pretty boring. But yeah, James, he stuck with me. He was giving me some damn good pushes, especially that run when we were trying to get, we short pit the second stop, and then we came out, and honestly, I figured we were going to come out a little bit more ahead. But yeah, I had Richard crew chiefing for me again, which is always fun. He was helping out, trying to help us with pit strat. Then unfortunately we lost Brandon when we came out of the pits on our second time, but I think it sucks because I've been in his shoes, but in hindsight, if we would have slowed down to get him, we would have never been in the position we were at the end. We would have been still trying to catch that lead pack after they pit for the final time. So yeah, I think, it was fun. It was fun.
Very true. It was a fun finish, a very exciting finish indeed. Congratulations on the win tonight, Trent, and thanks for chatting to us as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much, Trent Dinkle there, the race winner tonight here at Daytona. Well, that's just about does it here, Derek. What a fantastic race it was. We're hoping for some more of the same at Atlanta Motor Speedway. If we go no caution round there, I'll be very impressed.
I'll be impressed as well, right? It drives like a super speedway, but it's got a little bit more of a curve. It's got some brakes involved. It's got a lot more involved. So next week, 1 week from tonight, as I say, same bat time, same bat channel here on RaceSpot. You can watch that race and every race from the PRL Cup Series.
Yeah, make sure you tune in. Make sure you tune in tomorrow night as well. We'll be back again with the multi-class night, which is not the official name for it, but it probably should be called something like that, because there's a lot of different racing that goes on a Monday night, and you should very much catch it. But for now, though, I've been Ewan Leary alongside Derek Watson. Mike Yao has been behind the cameras here this evening. From all of us at Daytona, it's goodbye for now, and we'll see you in 1 week at Atlanta.